What up, y'all? It's your boy, the Hood Nerd, back with another episode of the Hood Nerd Red Pill Talk presents the Deep Dive with episode 80. And at this point, if you still want to hear R. Kelly content, you can follow that on the YouTube channel because a sharp pivot is getting ready to happen over here. You know, reading this story and having that story happen Saturday to the young boy on the south side of Chicago who was murdered by his mother. Dealing with some of my own personal things I've been dealing with for the last month or so, which I'll get to and bring it all full circle at the end. I kind of felt I probably needed to be the one to go in this direction because it seems we seem to have gotten to a point where everyone wants to be silent about a lot of these things that's going on. And I always talk about being the voice for the voiceless. You see, there comes a time when silence is betrayal. Also, it comes a time when you look at your friends and you say, you know what? I know what you stand for now. And I know who you align with because I know what topics you're very silent on. You know, I was having a conversation with a buddy Sunday. And the conversation was going and, you know, some words were said. And it was, you know, when will black men just stop complaining about this and just move on? And it stopped me in my tracks for a second. I said, man, that's a great point. That's a great point. And you know, that hit those who know me personally. That hit Steve right in the gut. But see, then the Hood Nerd was sitting on that right shoulder. And he smacked it right back out. And it put a different thought in my head. And it said, well, when are black women gonna finally jump up and have something to say about hoe culture, twerk culture, thought culture, the culture we celebrate? When are black women gonna now stand up and have something to say about that? Because what has started to happen is we're having a lot of women who, we could say good black women. They don't want anything to do with it. What they've done is they won't speak against it, but they'll stay quiet about it, which is what I told you. A lot of times, a lot of this stuff is I'm a woman first before anything. A lot of these women are women before even being a mother, which is what we're going to talk about today on this show. And I thought, yeah, black men could divest, but we already been blamed for the shithole of what the black community has turned into, even though it's not our fault. Even though we aren't the ones sleeping with the dope boys, somebody's husband, some athlete just to get pregnant by him, even though we're not the ones sleeping with those men. We're not the ones saying I can do bad all by myself. We're not the ones at 70% filing for divorce. Educated black women, that number jumps to 90% of educated black women who are married and gotten a divorce. 90% of those women have filed for it. That's not us. But we're going to take the blame for it. And you know who else going to take the blame for it? What else we will take the blame for? Divesting and going to start families with Hispanic women, being SYSBM. Save yourself, black man. We'll take the blame for that too. Because when revisionist history comes 100, 200 years from now, you want me to tell you the story they're going to tell you? Well, the black culture is the way it is because black men decided they wanted to now go sleep with white women and Hispanic women, and they destroyed basically the bloodline and the culture. And you want me to tell you why all that will be said? Because that black woman don't have the balls and the heart and the gall and the leadership ability to look to her left and call her sister out on her behavior. She's going to sit and be quiet. Because that's what they've been doing the last 60 years. Like I said, I was a child who sat in church every Sunday and watched everything going on around me. And when I would get home, the first thing my mother would be doing is on the phone, and all of these old women are cackling and gossiping about what they saw going on in church. Not the word, just gossiping. Now, would they go and address that woman? Hell no, that's not the way they're going to operate. But see, they'll sit in the background in the Mean Girls Club, and they'll have a conversation that way. So see, the problem will never get addressed, but we'll have something to complain about forever and forever, 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 forever. Because for the most part, human beings, they just love to complain. They love it. That's why I always love that the statement I make when I say, I wish they could just end racism and poverty. Just so I could really show human beings, you still find something else to complain about and say, yo, well, I still got it bad this way. I still got it bad that way. So, at that point, I started thinking, it's not going to matter whether we divest or not. You're still not going to deal with the problem. We're still going to be held responsible for the 20 million abortions or the murders that you've committed. The most dangerous place for an infant is in the womb of a black mother, to the tune of 20 million abortions. 20 million. This black community that we sit and we so fearful of, that we rip and we run away from. We come out of the same situations. Most of us are raised by our grandmothers. Mothers either out at work or in the streets doing whatever, but we raised by grandmothers. That's basically who we view as mama anyway, for the majority of us. Then you have these young boys who are now developing into what? Because you'll get women and men who don't come from this environment, they don't understand it. Legal age to work is what? You know what? Let me see what that is before I even say that. Legal age to work, full-time job in Chicago is 16. Got a 12-year-old boy whose mother belongs to the streets. Now they're going to say, where the father at? She done slept with 3 to 4, 5 dope boys. She don't know who the father is. And all she was looking for was fast money at that point. Fast money and unprotected sex. She wasn't going to get on birth control. And see, again, that's when I get to the point of you want to blame fathers for not being there when you're sleeping with men who were never prepared or wanted to be fathers to begin with. See, child support ain't for the fathers who take care of their business. It's really for the deadbeats. But guess what? You can't find the deadbeats. So guess who get overtaxed for child support? The regular 9-to-5 guy. Somebody got to pay the cost, man. Somebody got to pay the cost. But let's get back to that 12-year-old boy. Mother belonged to the streets already. She in and out, not coming home. We did this story already. 5 kids died in the fire. Mother nowhere to be found. She went out to pick a friend up from work. So now we asking little kids to become adults at a young age. So guess what? When mama ain't coming home for 3-4 days, ain't no food in the house. How does a 12-year-old boy get money? How does he take care of his little siblings when now he's the man of the house? It's only one way. The dope game. It's only one way. That's to become a dope boy at that point. But see, those who don't come from that environment, what they're going to say is you had options. You don't have options at that age. Your brain don't operate on that type of frequency to even see the world that way. See, it's easy to look down from your penthouse and say, yo, this should operate that way. That should operate this way. You had options. No, you don't. No, you don't. But I keep screaming, nature versus nurture. Since we know close to 80% of Black mothers are single, who's nurturing the environment for this culture? Because there ain't no daddy around. So who's nurturing the environment for this culture? And I know what you women say, oh, his father around. Again, when you only can have your child every other weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Friday evening after school, Saturday, and they got to be back Sunday for school, you're talking roughly almost 48 hours of quality time with your child. You ain't got time to be nurturing. You can't deprogram 5 days worth of information in 48 hours. And that's 96 hours of time with your child a month. Game is already rigged, man. They know that. They understand that already. This is why I've told you already. When a statement was made to me, a mother knows best. Nobody is going to protect her child like a mother. Put a pin in that. Because we're going to get back to that statement that was told to me by my mother after we deal with this right here. Family of a 12-year-old boy shot and killed by his mother inside a South Chicago home over the weekend are heartbroken, but hope the incident shines a light on mental health. How many episodes have we talked about this already? No matter what they do, they just tend to get off with light punishment. You don't think a lot of these men have mental health issues that's doing all this raping and murdering out here? You don't think they've been nurtured for their brains to operate that way? You don't think they're dealing with some sort of PTSD, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia? You don't think they're dealing with it also? Don't matter when they look at you. They see a savage. That's all they see is a savage, an animal. That's what they think of you, black man. When they see you, that's what they see. That's why they clench that purse so tight. That's why they walk across the other side and go walk on the other side of the street when they see you coming. You also programmed to walk on the other side of the street. Because that's what you think of your own kind already. Now, do I also walk on the other side of the street? I sure do. And you know why? Because I know what's ground zero for the savage. And who is that? That's the savage beast. That's whose vagina that child has come out of. I know who's the head of the whole snake, who's in control of all of this. I know who wants to be the lead dog of all of this and has watched all of this crumble down. I know who your co-conspirator is in your demise here. Who is that? So you love saying Whitey. We even say the preacher. But when domestic violence situations, when they jump off, what happens? Who do they call? Who's the first person that woman calls? The cops. The second you ready to leave the house, and she ain't done arguing. She putting her hands on you. She pushing you. All you do is grab her by her arms and move her to the side and open the door. What's the second thing that happens? What's the next thing that happens? Phone call gets made. I know you on probation or you out on parole. Lock his ass back up. You doing the best you can. You didn't got sick at work. You didn't got sick. You got hurt. You off work, unpaid for a couple of weeks. Who the first person she called? Child support court. I don't care. Put him in jail. And I'm going to do a video on that too, on a woman who did that. Put him in jail. Ma'am, you know if you put him in jail, he's going to lose his job and he won't be able to pay you child support. I don't care. Put him in jail. He needs to know who's in charge here. Oh, okay. Cool. When she says she wants you to be white collar and intelligent, we come from a hip hop culture. Who do you think she's trying to turn you into? That's right. That's absolutely right. That's who she's trying to turn you into. We ain't got to say it. We ain't got to say it. When you say everything you need to say, when you can debate a point very well, be there in the debate, pays no attention to you, goes and talks to that white collar friend or that white guy. And see, the white collar friend, if he's black, his word trumps yours. She'll take a white homeless man's word over certain issues if he can pronounce words correctly and sound like he knows what he's talking about. She'll take his word over yours in a heartbeat. And you know why? Color of his skin. That's who she's in business with. See, when she keeps saying black women don't make as much as men in the workforce, she ain't talking about you. You're not who she's looking up at. You're not her competition. She doesn't look at you as competition. She looks at you as a foot soldier in all of this. And you know, I think everything that's happened to me over the last month or so has led me to finally find where my focus and my attention needs to be, what I need to constantly be highlighting. So, to the buddy who asked me to divest before I finish reading, and to, us to lead a conversation alone and move, no, I'm going to be on y'all ass like the kitchen lights come on in the trap house and the roaches start scattering. I'm going to shine the light from every goddamn angle on what's going on and tell you ladies, jump up and say something. And when you tend to that business over there and speak up about it, then I'll digress and I'll even probably divest at that point. And you can win. I'll advise black men to divest. But until I shine enough light to embarrass enough of you black women to get off your ass and start holding your sisters, the so-called sisters that you have in this sisterhood, accountable, nah. I ain't letting nobody slide no more, man. Ain't nobody getting no more passes. Nobody, and I mean nobody, will get another pass. If I catch you on my crosshairs, have mercy on your soul, man. At around 10:30 a.m. Saturday, police responded to a home in the 8000 block of South Bennett Avenue on a report of a shooting. Now, that area is maybe a 3-minute walk from where I grew up at on 81st and Chappelle. And it's nothing but, I always tell people when you come to this city, when your neighborhoods and blocks where it's houses at, you don't really got to worry about a lot of gang activity. Those are homeowners over there. They don't play that. So it's shocking to even hear something like that even happen over there. Caden Ingram, 12, was shot by his mother, later identified as Fallon Harris, over a missing digital memory card, prosecutors allege. The boy later died at the hospital. She killed that boy over a memory card. Now, of course, we're going to hear people come to her defense so that she doesn't have to really pay for her actions. Then they'll just say, yo, mentally she wasn't there at that point. But couldn't anybody who commits murder say mentally, hey, I just blacked out at that point? That could be anybody's excuse. Harris has been charged with first-degree murder. I'm going to be very interested to see who comes and shields her and steps up and says, don't be too harsh on her. Caden's family said the 7th grader loved video games, sports, and the Cubs. Family members said Harris was suffering from paranoia. Harris' mother said they started noticing changes in her behavior over the last 6 to 8 months. That was Fallon's body that committed that horrible act, Mia Harris said. But it wasn't Fallon's mind or her heart that did it. I don't know anybody who's in a good place when they murder. Not a one. She even met with her daughter's co-workers at the city's Department of Transportation Friday, the day before the shooting, because they were concerned for her well-being. But the family never thought Caden was in danger. We're going to get to that in just a few minutes. Ingram's father hopes the shooting can shed light on the importance of mental health. So, her son, he goes to state. Her son was her best friend, Ingram said. She would never do anything to harm this baby. That baby dead, dog. He gone. There was a lot of mental issues going on, and we failed to recognize it. And when we did recognize it, it was too late. I've told you on plenty of episodes, when a woman states that her child is her best friend, there's some mental issues going on. When you're in your mid-30s, late 20s, early 30s, mid-30s, early 40s, and you're talking about somebody 13, 12 years old is your best friend, that elevator don't go all the way up to the top floor. And not even in her case. That's somebody who has some mental issues, period. That's the frequency that you own when you're confiding and hanging with a 12-year-old like that. There was a lot of mental issues going on, and we failed to recognize it. And when we did recognize it, it was too late. And see, you don't want to be too harsh on this guy, because I understand why he has to take the stance that he has to take. We're in a world now where men are part of the silent generation. You can't come out and say anything bad. If he comes out too harsh, then he's going to feel the wrath of everybody. And at this point, that boy ain't even been put in the ground yet. So you can't really even give an accurate assessment. You kind of got to play it cool at this point. And that's kudos for him for even being like this. Because I don't know if it's too many men who would handle this situation like this. This happened to their child. Whenever she realizes what she's done, she's going to be a danger to herself, Ingram said Tuesday. See, that's you giving her way too much credit. because you would have thought she would have been a danger to herself from the jump. But even again, if we're agreeing that these are mental health issues, whatever it is, she should still have to pay a life sentence, the same as any other man would have to pay for committing a crime like this. And for a man to do something like this, he probably die in prison very early. In the weeks before she allegedly shot and killed Hayden, and we don't have to say allegedly, they saw it on the video that she shot him. They saw it already. She admitted to it already. Fallon Harris displayed weird, erratic behaviors, according to Ingram, Harris' husband of 16 years. The pair recently separated and Ingram moved out, but he continued to spend the majority of his time at the family home in the 8000 block, well, 8000, that's how we say it here, the 8000 block of South Bennett in South Chicago. Their marital problems, he said, were linked to her increasing paranoia and distrust. And see, I had to deal with something similar. Was something I always worried about. Is yes, you're leaving, but can your children fend for themselves dealing with her? Are you okay? And how do you reconcile with the fact that that's who you procreated with? Do you continue to now worry about self-preservation for yourself and get out? And see, the court system is terrible. So they don't give you the kids, man. I keep telling you, most men who take care of their children would love to have their children full time, would probably never even ask for child support from the mother. I'm just being honest with you. They just want to be there to raise them, protect them, make sure they on the straight and narrow, and help them prepare to go out here and be an adult. We're not looking for the kudos and all of that. And these are conversations I have with fathers. But he already understood this was a problem. Now, do we know where the paranoia and distrust comes from? No. But at that point, that was your time to probably make a phone call. Even more, that was a time to bring up, hey, you think it's best, maybe he should come and live with me for a little while until you know you handle that. Now, if she says no and she gets agitated and angry, then that should have set your alarm off to let you know, okay, this may be what that is then. I may need to let this go. I may need to inform somebody and try and get her committed. Now, of course, you're not going to get her committed, but I may need to inform the authorities to start building a case to take her away. But with her working for the city and having a good paying job, I doubt if that's going to happen either. But the second she can go into an in-treatment program, inpatient program, however they want to call it, the second she would get admitted into something and do a program for it, they would give her the children back. They would give her son back. He goes on to say, I talked to her and said, we have to look at some type of therapy. We have to seek some type of counselor, Ingram said. She wasn't eating. She wasn't a normal self. I wanted her to get evaluated. I pushed her to go see a therapist. Her first session was the day before. Despite the family's concern, no one thought Fallon could ever hurt Kate, Ingram said. We weren't prepared for nothing like this, he said. And you know why? Because ain't a woman alive that could take a mama's place, man. It just ain't. Even though you was a crack fiend, you're going to always be a black queen, man. She ain't capable of doing something like that. Now, of course, she's committed over 20 million abortions already. And she is the mother of most of these savages who are out here carjacking, robbing, raping, and shooting. Now, of course, she is the leader and the head of all of this that's going on. And she has committed over 20 million abortions. But I really don't think, even though you was a crack fiend, mama, you ain't that bad. You still our queen. You still our queen, mama. Now they talk to her mother. Her mother said she knew something wasn't right. She said she would call, her daughter would rush off the phone. She said she would call back, but she never did, her mother said. So a mother who moved out to Arizona when Caden was 2, flew to Chicago Thursday night, which lets you know if she flew in Thursday night, something was seriously wrong already. They knew already. Something was seriously off. She just got up and flew out here. I needed to see her. She just didn't sound like herself. So I decided to come hop on a plane here, said. I figure she can't hang up on me if I'm sitting in her face. So now, when they tell you I decided to come hop on a plane, that means I got on that pronto. So they knew something wasn't right Thursday. But there's still a code, man. She's a woman first. Her loyalty is to her child, not her grandchild. And I have no problem, like I said, if you're loyal, your loyalty should be to what's correct at this point. If she's off, you need to be protecting that child from her. If you needed to hop on a plane Thursday to skedaddle out here, that boy shouldn't have been left alone with her at that point. Now, a city spokesperson said she worked in the electrical operations for the Chicago CDOT, the Chicago Department of Transportation, since 2014. Mia says she spent all day Friday with her daughter, and the pair met with 3 CDOT foremen to discuss Fallon's need for treatment. They agreed she needed to see a psychotherapist, said Mia Harris. A source at the agency said the city provides counseling services and help that would have been readily available. So see, they knew Friday this shit wasn't right. But see, what's going on in this culture is what? At the end of the day, we just gonna pray, man. We gonna sit and pray. He'll deliver us from it. Not really take action. Not have any foresight. We're not going to be proactive. We're going to be reactive. And that is the problem that we face today in this culture. We ain't never proactive. We always reactive. So we'll never want to get on birth control before we get pregnant. We want to buy a plan B after. We'll never want to get on birth control before we have sex. We just want to murder 20 million babies. We'll never want to put a rubber on. We just want to beg a child or tell a woman, hey, yo, you need to get an abortion. That's cramping my style. You'll never want to say, you know what, why don't I go work for that watch? Or why don't I go work? Because I know I want to go to this party and buy some shoes. Why don't I work a little harder, work some OT, do something like that so I can afford to get these shoes? Nah, you know what, last second, I'm going to just go steal them off dude. You don't want to work hard for the car. Nah, I just steal it. There's never any foresight in this culture, man. Even her job wanted to help her, Mia Harris said, which means even they saw it. There's a husband who saw it. There's a mother who had to hop on a plane from Arizona who saw it. There's co-workers who saw it. And still nobody looked out for that little boy. Nobody had a conversation and say, let's get him out of there. Claffey said employee confidentiality prevented him from confirming the Friday meeting with concerned co-workers. So we got a whole crew of people who know she's completely off at this point. Yet everybody's saying, I never thought she would have hurt him. If somebody in their right mind, you don't know what they're capable of at that point. But everybody will sit around and act like it's all good. And then now we get to a point where they say, have mercy on them. After her first appointment with her therapist Friday, the mother asked how it went. Fallon said she didn't want to talk about it and changed the subject. Her mother said the only time Fallon confided in her mother about her feelings was to say she didn't feel like herself. I'm not going to even read too much into that. I'm going to stick with the facts. She would say, Mom, I just want to be Fallon again, Mia Harris said. So if she's telling you that, that's a sign saying she don't think she is herself at this point. Maybe I need to grab that little boy and take him with me. Maybe I need to send him to his father. Maybe I put him on a plane, bring him back to Arizona. Now, of course, she's going to have to be okay with that. Which now goes down to the other rabbit hole. Was she okay with that? Was that conversation ever had? I don't know. There was no reason to believe the 37-year-old will become violent, especially not with her son, who she regularly shared photos of on social media with the hashtag best friends, her mother said. You already know how I feel about elderly women and little children talking about that's my best friend. That's not. And it's a recipe for disaster when that boy gets 15, 16, and he continues to treat you like his best friend. And now you want to say, no, I'm the boss here. It's either my way or the highway. Get out. That's not how best friends conversate. Again, I will tell you, I am an advisor and a mentor to my children once they hit a certain age. Best friends, no, we'll never be. But I do always want the doors to be open for you to always be able to have a conversation with me. But no, I'm on a different mental frequency than you are. So no, we can never be best friends. We can hang out, we can laugh, we can joke. Yeah. Best friends? No. But to say there was no reason to believe that she would be violent, become violent, my man, you left the home because of that. They had to have an intervention basically at work for this. Her mother had to hop on a plane from Arizona because of this. And you go on and say there wasn't a reason to believe that? So you be asking yourself, man. You be asking yourself when you start saying stuff like this. I always say, just keep it a bean, man. Keep it funky. My biggest fear is when she gets the help that she needs, and she gets back, in her words, when she's Fallon again, this is going to break her, Mia Harris said. It may. Or maybe this is who Fallon always was. And maybe you are now seeing who Fallon has evolved into. And maybe that's just not what you want to accept. But everybody don't stay the same. Nothing stays the same. Nothing lasts forever. So, they say he was his mother's everything. And say he was destined to be a professional wrestler, thought about being a police officer, thought about being a pediatrician. And at 12 years old, that's the way our brains work. You got ideas. I still ask my 13-year-old daughter, what is it you want to be when you grow up? Still don't know. And that's fine, because you may not have a plan until you're 18, 19 years old. That's fine also. Unlike so many of his electronic obsessed peers, Caden wasn't scrolling TikTok for the latest dance trend or pranks, according to his father. He was a history enthusiast, spent much of his free time on YouTube, watching videos about figures in world history, such as Hitler and Genghis Khan. Interesting kid, man. At 12, if you're interested in Hitler and Genghis Khan, those some interesting figures to be interested in. But that even goes to show more. His mother dimmed the lights out on something that could have been so precious, man. On somebody who didn't even get a chance to live yet. And again, like I keep saying, we keep saying hashtag protect black women. When all I want to know is who's protecting the kids that she's spitting out at an alarming rate? Who's protecting those unborns who are murdered at the tune of at least 20 million? When do they get a hashtag? And you know why they don't? Because she's a narcissist and nothing matters to her but her. She is the show at the end of the day. It's why you see what? At the age of 50 and 60, you see these women with what? Face jobs, butt jobs, breast jobs. Because they're still trying to be what? The star of the show, man. 40-year-old hood chicks taking income tax returns and flying down now to get butt injections. So what? So I can still get attention from men. Still hasn't found out what makes her tick in life yet. She hasn't found her passion yet. And see, I heard something from a YouTuber, Kendra D, who I reached out to use one of her videos. Didn't get the clearance yet from that. So when I do, we'll use it next time. But she said it. Black women don't understand their value. They just know their price. Don't let that go over your head. They don't understand their value, but they know their price. He said, I'm going to keep my grades up. I want to go to Whitney Young High School, according to his father. He was a lovable child. He was still a child of innocence with a pure heart, the heart of a kid. It was important to the couple to keep Caden off the streets and away from violence. Prosecutors noted his mother had no criminal history. She owned 2 guns and had her concealed carry license for protection. Now, in that neighborhood, I could understand why. Not terrible, but you could get a random guy just want to break in. That's just the way it works over there. You know, it could pop off at any point in time over there. It's not the Inglewood area, nothing like that, but you know, those children, you know who they, like I said, nature versus nurture. You know where they come from. So she wanted to keep him away from the streets and violence, though, but it was violence that killed him. Violence took his life. Now she's waking up with nightmares and asking her mother, is he really dead? Her mother said. Now, is it going to be tough for her to deal with all of this? I don't know. But those around failed that little boy. They failed that little boy. Now, like the rest of his family, including his big sister Brianna, Caden knew his mother was acting differently. Mia said there wasn't a single event or something they could point to as the impetus for the change, but it was clear she was under a great deal of stress. And there's a lot of stuff to deal with at this point. COVID, bills, marriage falling apart. Your last child is getting old. You could feel like you actually losing everything because your baby ain't your baby no more. Which is why you'll see a lot of women when that child gets 14, 15, somewhere in that 12 to 15 range, you'll start hearing them say, you know what? I think I want another kid. I got baby fever again. It's because they can feel them losing the grip on that infant now. They don't have anything to now nurture. And who they are as an individual, for the most part, is what? My identity is wrapped up in being able to be somebody's everything, be it my husband or my children. My husband is gone. I got an 18-year-old daughter. I got a little boy who's getting ready to go to high school. Don't nobody really need me no more. And that can cause a lot of shock waves and send a lot of ripple effects through somebody when you view yourself that way. Her husband says she suddenly lost a bunch of weight because she had no interest in food. She stopped socializing. We don't know why, and we may never know why. That's why I've just been stressing to the police and prosecutor and public defender, she needs treatment. We need to figure out what brought this on. And see, that's her mother stating that, but we have to have the conversation of what? Who's advocating for that little boy then? Because now what we're seeing is, we're seeing a lot of people who want a light sentence and they're worried about her feelings. But ain't nobody here to speak for him no more. Kaiten is gone and can't nobody really speak for him. And we don't really know what's been going on between them two for the last 6 months to a year. All sorts of pictures can be painted after the fact. Because you don't want certain people represented and made to look a certain kind of way. She goes on to say, don't look at her like some animal that needs to be caged. Let's figure out what broke her because she was broken, Mia Harris said. She still needs to pay for her actions, Mom. She has to. When Fallon Harris appeared in court Sunday, she was disruptive during part of the hearing, interrupting the proceedings and arguing she hadn't spoken with a court-appointed attorney in advance. Following the judge's decision to deny bail, Harris sobbed as she asked to call her mother, which the judge approved. Now again, does that sound like somebody to you who's completely off, though, when they're saying they hadn't spoke with their court-appointed attorney in advance? See, if you just done and completely warped and wiped out, you probably just sit there stone face. Because you really haven't grasped yet what's actually going on. And you may not even be in your right mind. And if you was that remorseful for what you done to your son, you would just plead guilty and turn yourself completely over. You would say, yes, life in prison is fine. Even the death penalty is fine. So see, what I want you to notice is this. If she does bodily harm after a verdict is given and it's a life sentence, then I don't want you to look at this as mental health, because they'll use that as an out. If she wants to do bodily harm and you feeling like that, you would actually do bodily harm now. See, if you see life, you hear a life sentence, then it's, yeah, I don't have nowhere to go but here. So yeah, I'm out. But if you do it now, then I could say, yeah, you know what? Okay. Maybe she is super remorseful. But if you wait till after you get a life sentence, then I know you was waiting to see if you could get a lighter sentence. And if you could get a lighter sentence, then you wouldn't kill yourself. So then I still have to wonder, how much out of your right mind are you? What's actually going on? Why didn't anybody stand up for little Kaiten? And see, as parents, we have to stand up for our children. And I'll deal with that later. She sobbed and she asked to call her mother. And so you got to understand again, same thing George Floyd did. George Floyd didn't call on God before he died. Who did George Floyd call on? He said, Mama. His mama was dead. But I keep telling you to reverence the place that we hold her at. I told you, you missed one birthday as a father. You're a no good bastard. You ain't a real man to me. That man told you, even if you a crack fiend, you're still a queen, mama. That means to tell you what, no matter what you do to me, I'm going to always hold you to the highest esteem. I ain't going to never put nobody above you. He said, ain't a woman alive that could take my mama's place. There you go for you. Didn't say that for his father. They never do. But you got to understand, when that's the first person you calling and not God, that lets you know where she holds, where they hold mama at the end of the day. And that's next to who? I told you the Holy Trinity is who? It's God, it's Jesus. And right below Jesus, not even, I'm telling you, a couple of centimeters below Jesus, it's the black mother. That's where she is. Now, the black father is somewhere down there with Satan somewhere. He with Lucifer, because that's where he is. That's how he's viewed. Scum of the earth. It's a thankless job. Our job is a very thankless job, man. It truly is. You're expected to protect, provide, put your life on the line. And all you get is a what's up, or you get a tie for Father's Day. Even better than this is what you get for Father's Day. We just gonna take the kids out and leave you home alone. Happy Father's Day. And we'll bring you something back to you. That's what you get. And you might get a card with some crayon letters saying Happy Father's Day. So the mother says she hasn't heard from from her daughter since Saturday. She said her daughter has been denied a phone call, although that could not be corroborated Tuesday. She was able to speak to her daughter. She would share the same sentiment Caden had toward his mother. I spoke with him and he was suddenly so mature, he said. There's something wrong with my mom, but I'm going to pray for her, Mia Harris said. I didn't even know he knew how to pray. Did that little boy say that? Or is she garnering sympathy for her daughter? Man, that lets you know, though, at 12, they weren't a church-going family then. But I spoke with him, and he was suddenly so mature. There's something going wrong. There's something wrong with my mom, but I'm going to pray for her. Didn't even know he knew how to pray. Something going wrong with my mom, but I'm going to pray for her. So at this point, the boy, the smartest person out of everybody. Ms. Harris said the family has been under attack on social media since the shooting, but not even the most loathsome attacks could change how she feels about her daughter. People be saying some of the most horrible things, she said, noting that Caden's half-siblings who are in their 20s haven't been able to unplug and ignore the comments the way she has. I don't know why they're intended target. All these shots you're taking are hitting a grieving family. You're hitting us and we're already hurting. Taking her cue from Caden, Mia says she'll just have to develop a thicker skin and continue to pray for her daughter. If I could talk to her, I'd tell her that I love her and I know that she needs help and we don't hate you. I'm still your mom. I planned you. I wanted you. You are my angel, she said. Now, you do have to understand, I'm not going to be too harsh. But that girl's mother is using her grandson as a shield right now. And she's using him as a way to garner sympathy for her daughter to get her off from doing what? from possibly having a life sentence in jail. But she says she's taking her cue from her dead grandson. Why is that? Why shouldn't he have been taking the cues from you? Why are the children always expected to be the mature ones, the most emotional ones, the most forgiving ones? Why are they supposed to be the adults in the situation instead of just being allowed to be a child? We got a 12-year-old boy dead over a memory card. We have adults now saying she was off. We knew she was off. We was planning the intervention, but we didn't think she would harm him. Yeah, we knew she had 2 guns in the house, but we didn't think she would harm him. And then we use the boy's name in vain now and say what? I'm going to pray for my daughter. So he not religious, you not religious, but you always call on him when you need him, right? So how does this tie into me? You know, even though I do deep dives on everybody else, I pride myself on being forthcoming and open so that I can always give advice and help people out. And you know, during the beginning of this, like I said, there's always this thing of how much people love you. How people are always trying to say they give you the world. I love you. All of this. So, you know, I had a situation where I told you I wanted my youngest daughter to come and live with me because I wasn't okay with what was going on between her and her mother at that point. And I told you I was met with a lot of resistance from my own mother, which then forced me to do what? 86 that relationship, sever the ties, basically. And it's not that I won't ever speak to her again, but that's going to have to be at some point in time, she's going to have to reach out and apologize and have a conversation. And see, that's something my mother has never wanted to do, was converse. She's always one to yell, and get her point across. And then when you show her she's wrong, I don't want to talk about it no more. I'm out. So at this point now, time is moving forward. And instead of getting a phone call, now I get meetings. Hey, you know, I loved you. I carried you. I did everything I could, you know, to protect you. And yes, I've made mistakes. Yes, I've done all of those things. But just understand, I always love you. And I've been getting multiple of those memes. Not a text, not a phone call. So, you know, boy, you know, I talked to her mother and my daughter's mother, and, you know, we've been going back and forth about my daughter getting a COVID test. I mean, getting the vaccine. And her not being responsible for being somebody's babysitter. I keep stating, a child's job is to be a child. That's something my uncle always stressed to me growing up. You're going to have more than enough time to be an adult. Enjoy this time. We won't ask nothing from you but to do your work. Don't be a menace out here on the streets. That's it. That's your only job out here. We going to feed you. We going to clothe you. We going to keep a roof over your head. Your job is very simple. And thinking back, it sure was. So I wanted her to start playing basketball. And we was making great progress in that. Like I said, at this point, she's 6'1", learning how to rebound, learning how to put the ball back in, learning how to catch it, learning how to do post moves, all that. I had a great rhythm going for 3 weeks. Tell my ex-wife, she had what she had down. I don't know if she had some type of illness before the baby came or whatever. No, after the child came, excuse me. But that's why she went back down. My daughter went back down and see the birth of her baby sister. Plan was you go down there for a week and a half, you come back, you finish up strong for the summer. You go back down there for school, for 8th grade, and then I'm going to take over from there. Well, that situation happened, and what? Everything went completely left after that. Because at this point, we got a kid still doing what? What she wants to do. Yeah, she's doing kickboxing. That's fine. She can do kickboxing and boxing. She's not working out, though. When I got her beginning of the summer, no conditioning one where it should have been for her to be putting in the work that everybody was saying she was putting in, kickboxing and boxing. I'm completely out of basketball shape, and I was torching her running end to end. So that was fine. So I try and get her up here, get her back up here, and I'm met with all this resistance. She don't want to be up there. I need her down here. And with that, I'm not going to put my child in the middle of anything between me and her mother. And like I told y'all before in that episode, once my mother called me and said, I know her husband is down here, but he ain't her child. And she can look after her basically better than her husband can. I was floored. And at that point, I knew then, all right, it's time to cut the cord there. You overstepped too many boundaries here. I understand what this relationship is now. It's always served its purpose as when you can brag on us or you can get something from us, you call us. Besides that, I ain't gonna hear from her. And that's just me being completely honest and keeping it 1,000. If there's a random, yo, how you doing? Text, better believe in the next few days, there's gonna be a, hey, yo, can I borrow this? It's just the way my relationship with my mother's been since I've been an adult. That just is what that is. She's not a person I've ever went to for counsel about things. So that's never been what our relationship was or is at this point. So fast forward to a couple of weeks ago. I get my daughter here. Well, the weekend of Labor Day. I get her Friday. We hanging out, chilling, laughing. Her and my wife hang out Saturday. And then they hang out again, I believe it was Sunday. And she comes back to me and she says, hey, yo, babe, found some bruises on her arm. Okay. I'll go, and take a look. So when I saw him, I already knew what had happened, that she was doing harm to herself. And this is when I say again, who's going to protect the children? So I converse with her, sit on a 3-way. I'm steaming, man. I'm raging mad at this point because I'm hearing it from her husband and he's super excited. And for me, I'm thinking in my head, he ain't got shit to do with this conversation at this point. Nothing. I don't even know why he's inserting himself into this. This is me, you, her, and her grandmother talking. But I'm already pissed because I understand what's going on. I saw this story happen 5 years ago already with my oldest daughter. Really, what is she going to be, 22 now? 9 years ago, going into high school, when I told you she turned over the reins to me then. It wasn't because she turned over the reins because she was happy to. She turned over the reins because they was so-called best friends. And as my oldest daughter got older, and the more she started to question things, and the more she started to talk back as if they were best friends, there became this, you super disrespectful, you this, you that, shut up, this, hey. See, then I'm living there. I can shield my oldest daughter away from all of that. I can now intervene and say, you know what? You out of pocket. I deal with that. But what happened? See, at that point, 13, my youngest daughter is 4 at this point. What happened? What did we just get through talking about in that case? See, as that child starts to get older, they understand I've lost grip on this one. This one doesn't worship me anymore. That's what this is about. This one does not worship me anymore. Let me focus my attention on this one. So now the youngest one has become our best friend. So now we're at a stage now where what? Now this one getting ready to be 14. And what's happening now? Now again, history is repeating itself of this one is starting to get disrespectful. She's talking back. She's yelling. All of this. Now, being that I've lived with this woman, was in a relationship with this woman for almost 20 years, I understand how she can over-exaggerate. I understand how when you disagree with her, she used to do that with me. If you disagree with her, she takes that as yelling at her. If you say, no, that's not right, in her head, you were screaming, no, that's not right. So she'll come back and say, didn't y'all just hear him yelling at me? He's yelling and screaming and doing all this other stuff. And everybody else is kind of looking around like, yo, what are you talking about? He wasn't yelling. Those who know me rarely ever hear me get loud. Rarely. And when I say rarely, I mean that's a rare occasion. If I raise my voice, I'm very calculated. Just like this right here. This episode, even though I'm going off like this, all these things are very calculated. There's never going to be nothing said or done from me out of emotion. Livy, what are you doing in here? Hey, there's never going to be nothing done for me out of emotion. Where it's out of control rage. If it's rage and I decide to unleash it, it's control rage. So now I'm hearing all of these things of she hurt herself Sunday. When? Today? What happened with y'all? No. Last Sunday. While she was with me? I'm to blame for this? Oh, no, I don't know what's going on. And now it's all of these cop and pleas now. Because she couldn't wait for it to be on my end. Now, when it's said that it ain't on my end, and it's confirmed that it ain't on my end, now it's, yeah, well, I don't know what's going on. And maybe she needs to see somebody. How many times have people told her, hey, she needs to see somebody? I know my child. Y'all weren't the ones in labor with her. Y'all don't know what's going on. I know my child. All right. I can't force anything. That's not the way I co-parent. Anything that happens here, she's the first one I call. If she needs to go to the hospital or the doctor, she's the first one I call. Hey, yo, I'm going to take her to the hospital. I'm going to take her to the doctor. We getting ready to do this, or we getting ready to do that, or she hurt herself here, hurt herself there. That's how I operate on my end. But I understand that's not how she'll ever operate on her end, because to her, all of this is about what? As it is to most mothers who put us through this. It's all about the competition of being a better parent. I'm not in competition with you. Like I said, when I sent my oldest daughter off on prom, I showed up and stuck around basically pre her getting dressed and after until she pulled off, because I just understood what a mother would do if I didn't. And see, I understood her mother can hold the trump card with everybody else, and everybody else gonna say that's her mother, that's her child. Well, guess what? I can also step in and say, chill out. Yeah, I said no then. So now, what you gonna do about it? And that's that at that point. But I understood that. So even at that point, when she graduated, you don't hear me saying, look what I did, or any of that. When her team is coming in second place in cheerleading competitions, I'm way to the back somewhere. I'm there watching, but this ain't my time. Like I tell people, I had my time already in the sun. I had my time to shine. That time is over with. This is her time. And however she succeeds, I'll be there to give her a kiss for both of them. A kiss, a hug. I'm proud of you. Whatever you need from me. That's it. It's not my job, though, to take your shine away. This is your life to live. So we go through all of this about her not being heard at home and not being listened to and being yelled at. And then she goes on to say, well, this ain't the last time I'm going to yell at you. This ain't the first time, and it sure ain't going to be the last time I yell at you. If I feel the need to dig in your ass, and I quote, I'm going to dig in your ass. Now, out of respect for our mother, I stayed very quiet on this conversation. And to be honest, had I not sent her home that day, I honestly wish I would have just kept her, to be honest with you. I still think back to 2 weeks ago and say, what would have happened had you just kept her that day? So we get to, now of who's there to protect her. Because now that there's another newborn, there's what? There's always been this push. When I wanted the dog Livy, who was just in here, there was always this push. No, you can't have her. You can't have her. You can't have her. Till she moved. And once she moved with her now husband and he didn't want the dog, then it was, okay, I'm getting ready to get rid of her unless you want her. Of course, I'm going to take the dog. So I go get the dog. I've wanted my youngest child for the last 2 years. No, child's best place to be is with his mother. I'm not giving my baby up. I'm not giving my baby up. I'm not giving my baby up. I'm not giving my baby up to now. Now that I got a newborn and I'm married, now you can have her. Yeah, if you want to, take her. Am I going to take her? I sure am. But we also have to deal with what? We have to deal with the other part of what's going on now, which is all of this has happened, and guess who I haven't heard a word from? I haven't heard a word from her mother in the last 11 days since this happened. Haven't heard a word from my mother since her trying to hurt herself has happened. And you know why that is? Because again, nobody ever wants to be held accountable for the things they've done. So what we'll have now is what? Have a boatload of people being quiet. We'll have a boatload of people being very quiet about what's actually going on. When everybody was championing her cause. And see, she has a lot of people in her circle who stayed very quiet about all of the things she's done. Very quiet. And then they'll come to you in the background and tell you things, but what you telling me for? Why don't you tell her? Well, she an adult. You know how that is. I don't really feel like arguing. All of that. But you told me your number one interest was the well-being of that child. But that doesn't seem true today, does it? Because now that we found out that her best interest in what serves her best is not there, now we have what? We have nobody communicating with me. Everybody's gone radio silent. Mrs. Quiet as a mouse pissing on cotton at this point from everybody. So now, we did agree that I was going to get her, but now we deal with the other part of all of this, which is her catching COVID. So the following day, that Monday, I take her home. Well, I send her back on the train back home. She gets home, outside playing. And everything that's going on with her emotionally, she calls at 4:00 and says, Daddy, my chest hurt, my head hurt, and my body is aching. So I was just like, all right, just lay down, relax. Where's your medicine at? Take your medicine, and, we'll see what's going on. Called me back an hour later. Daddy's getting worse. All right. Tell your mother to take you to the emergency room. Now, we get the return back that she tested positive for COVID. And, I feel a way about that also, because I also had a conversation with her numerous of times about this. And it was, I've had it, I know what it feel like. And it don't feel good because I got vaccinated. And there's a lot of people who look at me and it's just, I can't believe you did that. Well, I had to do some research and weigh the options. Do you want to get this again after you already had it and it does even more damage to you? Because I was what you call a long haul carrier. Well, I was suffering from brain fog for half a year almost. It was hard for me to walk up and down the block. And I was going through it for a 6 to 8 month stretch. I mean, my memory's still not as sharp as it was before I got it. And there are times I can kind of just like be locked in on something and then get home and completely forget about it. Now, some of that I can attribute and I try and attribute to say, maybe you're just getting old, but that's never the way my memory was pre having it. And it just happened after I got it, where it just stopped. I couldn't really remember things the way I used to. I couldn't ramble things off the way I used to. So we had that conversation and it was always, yeah. And I've come up with the statement of people are picking the wrong time. They've picked the dumbest time to try and be the smartest person. Because at this point, like I told her, This ain't an issue was it created in a lab? Do I agree with that? Sure I do. What does it matter though? Now it's out here. Is the vaccine poisonous or could it be harmful for us because they haven't had enough time to do research? Sure it could. But what's the alternative? The alternative is what she's suffering through now, which is COVID pneumonia. 9 days later, still going in and out of the emergency room. 9 days later, still coughing. 9 days later, chest still hurt. 9 days later, still dealing with 102-degree fever. 9 days later, have not heard a word from her mother about how she's physically doing. Has not communicated with me not one time since all this has been going on. I'm having to communicate with a child about it. Would that be going on if she was here? No. Am I hopeful she pulls through all of this? I'm very hopeful she pulls through all of this and can return back to normal. But at this point, there's nothing worse for me right now than to be held helpless that you can't protect your child. And this has happened, what? This is probably my third time feeling like this. My oldest, when she had something stuck in her nose, and they had to put her in a straitjacket because she was fighting all of the nurses off. And she was kicking and screaming and crying. And I was getting misty-eyed because I couldn't do nothing to protect her at that point because they had to get it out of her nose. And with my youngest, when she had to get her tonsils taken out. And to come in a hospital bed and see a 2-year-old kid that little with tubes and stuff stuck all up in her. She can't talk. She's grimacing, she's moaning, she's crying, whining. It does something to a father, man. I'm telling you. It really does. So now, through all of this, yes, I rap with my sisters. I talk to my oldest daughter still. And we still kind of in communication about all of this. Am I going to get her, like I said, after this is over? The second she's COVID free, yes, I am probably going to arrange for her to be up here permanently and we can just start anew at this point. Because I definitely understand her best interest for me, that's all that's going to ever matter. Her getting a chance to be a child and enjoy life, that's all that's ever mattered for me, for her and my oldest daughter. Those who send all of these, the phony well wishes and tell you, hey, yo, I raised you, I loved you, all of that. You think my mother reached out to me doing any of this? Not at one time. Not at one time. Do you think there would ever be a point my daughters would be going through something like this and I'm not there? I don't care what's going on. I'm going to be there. With my head over either one of their heads, rubbing them, telling them, I'm here. What is it you need? See, love ain't a word. Love action. And I understand when there's people who will tell you, I got your back. I ain't really got your back, man. That's why I tell you, there's family and there's blood. Blood don't mean shit to me, man. Never have. Never will. Family does. But you ain't got to be blood to be family to me. So see, I tie all that in to say what? I don't think I did a great job or the best job, which is why I've been brewing and stewing through all of this the last month. Did I do a good job or the best job I could have protecting my youngest daughter from all of this that's going on around her now? I don't think I did. So my advice to y'all is reach out, hold them, man. Protect them. Do what you feel you need to for them, man, because there comes a point in time when you like this, where you render helpless in a situation, and now all you can do is wait it out and see how the cards gonna fall. It's your boy, the Hood Nerd, man. I'm out.